The year is 1914, and Professor Packley and his student, Billy Masterson, are investigating the ruins of an Egyptian temple. Packley is about to uncover an ancient prophecy and is interpreting the writings on the walls. It speaks of a great evil that will come in 5,000 years, emerging from a black hole and causing chaos and death. The only thing that can stop it is a weapon composed of the four elements: water, fire, earth, and air, making the fifth element a perfect being. Packley believes that the fifth element is the key but cannot uncover its identity. At that moment, a priest from a secret order approaches the two men, offering a toast with poisoned water to their success. Packley throws the water away and insists they drink wine instead. At that instant, a huge spaceship lands on top of the pyramid. The priest gasps in terror as he says they are here. Enormous robot-like creatures emerge from the ship and approach the men. The priest pleads, saying Packley was about to discover everything, but he arrived just in time. The alien race known as the Mondashans reveals that the priest was their human contact from Earth and states they must take the stones and the fifth element because war is coming, and it is no longer safe on Earth. The leader takes out the key and opens the walls. The absurd sequence of events makes Packley faint, while the priest can only watch as the Mondashans take the four stones and the sarcophagus containing the fifth element. Billy regains his composure and fires at the aliens, thinking they killed Packley. The priest tries to stop him, but it is too late. As the wall closes over the leader of the Mondashans, the alien hands the priest the key and his final mission. When the ship flies away, the priest promises to transmit the knowledge until their return. 300 years pass on Earth, and now the year is 2214, the year of the prophecy. The great evil appears as a giant fireball traveling toward the blue planet. A military ship in direct contact with the president observes the threat. Just as they are about to fire at the fireball, a priest named Cornelius from the secret order intervenes. He insists that firing at the threat is futile and that the only thing that can save humanity is tied to a great prophecy of the four and the fifth element. The president dismisses his theory and orders them to fire anyway. The fireball absorbs the missiles and throws them back at the ship, destroying it instantly. Back on Earth, Corbin Dallas is a divorced ex-soldier now working as a taxi driver and living in a cramped apartment with his cat. His close friend, Finger, calls him, and they plan to meet in the evening. Corbin goes through his usual day, apprehending a robber and picking up his taxi for his first fare of the day. At the president's headquarters, Cornelius explains his theory in detail and convinces the president to allow the Mondashans, who are transporting the elements, into their territory. En route to Earth, the Mondashans are attacked by a group of rebel aliens called Magdalors, who seize the box containing the elements. The Magdalors contact Jean-Baptiste Emmanuel Zord, who is working for the Great Evil, and agree to meet at his factory. The government visits the crash site and manages to recover a surviving hand from the Mondashans, taking it to their research laboratory. In a recovery chamber, the scientists reconstruct the DNA of the hand back to life. After a quick reconstruction process, the chamber reveals a naked woman lying on the table. The woman awakens and is shocked to find herself trapped inside the glass chamber. She screams in an ancient language. One of the generals approaches her and bangs on the glass, mocking her. The woman breaks the glass and knocks the general out, taking his access card and freeing herself from the capsule. The alarm bells start ringing, and she finds herself trapped in the room. Searching for the only way out, she breaks through the walls and escapes through the ventilation system. She soon finds herself on top of the building and jumps to escape the police. She lands right on top of Corbin's flying taxi. Corbin checks his unexpected passenger and feels instantly attracted and intrigued by her. Sensing her vulnerability, he decides to protect her from the pursuing police officers. They race through the streets with 4 police cars on their tail. Corbin makes a sharp turn and leads them through a rundown part of the city, quickly swerving to make the police vehicle crash into a delivery truck. They return to the main street, and a horde of police cars fires at them. Corbin takes them to the inner streets and, through the fog, shakes off the police. The woman tells him to take her to a priest named Vito Cornelius, and he manages to track him down to his apartment. Cornelius sees the elemental markings on her arm and faints upon realizing she is the fifth element. Not wanting to waste time, he rushes to get his assistant, David, and they prepare to find the fifth element. Meanwhile, Corbin looks at the sleeping woman and kisses her, only to be confronted by her weapon. He apologizes, calms her down, and discovers her name is Lilu. Cornelius and David arrive with the key to the tomb and take Corbin outside. He heads back to his apartment and calls Finger, apologizing for not meeting up and telling him about Lilu. Meanwhile, Lilu learns 5,000 years of history through Cornelius's computer and tells him the stones were stolen, but she knows exactly where they are. At the same moment, Zorg meets with the Mangalores and their leader, Aknot. Zorg exchanges the stones for new weapons, but when Aknot opens the box, it is empty. Cornelius then discovers that the Mondashoans gave the stones to someone they could trust and that Lilu should contact that person. They trace this person to a hotel called Floston Paradise on the Floston planet. Suddenly, there is a knock at the door, and a group of men appears, taking Cornelius to Zorg. He threatens the priest to reveal where the stones are, but he does not yield. While explaining his plan to Cornelius, he chokes on a cherry pit, and Cornelius saves him. Zorg spares his life and lets him go, ordering his henchmen to track down the stones. His men intercept a meeting with the president and discover that the Mondashoans gave the stones to a diva named Plavalaguna, who will perform at a charity ball at Floston Paradise. The president agrees and asks the military to hire their best agent, who turns out to be Corbin Dallas. The soldiers manage to locate Corbin in his apartment. He discovers that the military manipulated a lottery so that he would win 2 tickets to Floston Paradise, allowing him to infiltrate and discreetly recover the stones. At that moment, Lilu appears outside his door, and Corbin convinces the soldiers to hide in his fridge, lying that Lilu is his girlfriend, whom he is planning to marry, but who hates the military. He lets Lilu in, and Cornelius threatens him with a gun, demanding the tickets. Just then, the police raid the building looking for Corbin. He hides Lilu and the priest in his apartment, and the police arrest the wrong guy. The Mangalores arrive and intercept the arrest, taking the body bag without realizing they also took the wrong person. As soon as the area is clear, Corbin takes Lilu and Cornelius out of hiding. The priest knocks Corbin out momentarily and steals the tickets. When Corbin regains consciousness, he accepts the mission. Lilu and Cornelius arrive at the airport with David, who managed to obtain fake passports. Just as they are about to check in, Corbin arrives and takes David's place. David runs to Cornelius and tells him what happened. The priest instructs him with the key to prepare the temple while he goes after the other 2. The Mangalores arrive, disguised as Corbin and Lilu, but soon are caught by security. Corbin is then taken by a flight attendant to meet the flamboyant radio host, Ruby Road. Cornelius infiltrates the restricted area and manages to get on the plane. Moments later, it takes off towards its destination. Meanwhile, Zorg is summoned by Mr. Shadow, the dark entity that exists within the Great Evil. Mr. Shadow threatens Zorg to retrieve the stones or he will destroy him. On Floston Planet, the rocket arrives at the hotel. Corbin wakes up and finds Lilu missing. Lilu managed to track down Plavalaguna. The famous diva senses Lilu hiding in the hallway and sends one of her assistants to her. The assistant tells Lilu to find Plavalaguna after the concert. Meanwhile, Corbin is dragged by Ruby, who gives him a tour of the hotel and then the opera house while he talks nonstop on his live radio show. Unbeknownst to anyone, Mangalores are hiding in the venue, and Zorg approaches the hotel. The concert begins, and the curtains reveal Plavalaguna, a humanoid blue-skinned alien opera singer. As she sings her song, the Mangalores invade the diva's room and take the box. Lilu intervenes and takes down the group of Mangalores by herself with martial arts skills she acquired while learning through Cornelius's computer. She knocks out the remaining brute just as the diva finishes her song. Lilu retrieves the box and is stopped at the door by Zorg and his weapon. He demands the stones be returned, and Lilu throws the box to him and jumps into a nearby air duct. Zorg fires a series of shots into the duct. Meanwhile, the Mangalores have taken over the entire hotel and are holding some guests hostage. One of them shoots Plavalaguna, and she faints in Corbin's arms, who hides her under the chairs. Now with the stones in his hands, Zorg plants a bomb in the room and leaves immediately. Back in the opera house, Ruby is alone with Corbin and the diva. With her last breath, Plavalaguna tells Corbin to help Lilu save humanity and reveals that the elemental stones are truly stored within her. This brings immense disappointment to Zorg when he realizes the box is empty, and he returns to Floston Paradise. Corbin takes down a Mangalore and instructs Ruby, in a panic, to keep a gun on the alien's head. He then opens the diva's wounds and retrieves the 4 stones. He wraps them in his jacket and hands them to Ruby, asking him to protect them with his life. As the Mangalores surround the area, Corbin grabs the gun and kills several of the Mangalores. The aliens fire back with missiles, forcing him to take cover behind a bar. Ruby crawls and escapes to one of the balconies. The Mangalores now leave Corbin cornered, forcing him to come out of the rubble with his hands up. Corbin spots Ruby on the balcony and signals for him to move to the side. One of the aliens orders him to duck, and he leaps onto a wooden plank, causing the alien's head to collide with Ruby's balcony. Ruby holds him, and the alien panics, firing its weapon at its own team. Corbin manages to grab a gun and shoot the remaining aliens. As more of them begin to enter the room, Corbin grabs Ruby and throws a grenade at them. With the guns blazing at them, they hide under a table and survive the explosion. They make their way to the control room where the remaining Mangalores are holding Cornelius and several other humans hostage. As more of them begin to enter the room, Corbin spots their leader and plans to kill him, stating that no Mangalore will fight if their leader is dead. The leader then asks the humans to send someone to negotiate. Corbin volunteers and quickly kills the leader with a shot. With the hotel back under human control, Corbin locates an unconscious Lilu in the Diva's room. Cornelius and Ruby follow him and discover the bomb. The alarms go off, and the guests are immediately evacuated. The group, carrying Lilu, make their way to the docking bay without being seen by Zorg, who then returns to the room where he planted the bomb and disables it at the last second. The group, along with Lilu, find Zorg's ship and board it. Back in the hotel room, unbeknownst to Zorg, the last living Mangalore activates his bomb as revenge, and it detonates, killing Zorg instantly. Corbin, Lilu, Cornelius, and Ruby safely escape on the stolen ship. On the way back to Earth, Lilu regains consciousness and talks to Corbin about the oddities of humans. The two share an intimate moment, and Corbin can't help but feel more attracted to her. Meanwhile, the fireball accelerates and hurtles toward Earth at a dangerous speed. The president calls Corbin and gives him the ultimatum. They have about 2 hours before humanity is exterminated. Back on the ship, Lilu learns about the violent history of wars among humans. She feels disgusted, disappointed, and shocked to discover she is saving a race that causes so much violence. The group lands in the desert and is greeted by David, who leads them to the center of the temple. Corbin carries Lilu and places her on the central table. With little time left, the group tries to figure out how to activate the weapon. They arrange the stones in their respective places but have no idea how to open them. Corbin tries to wake Lilu and asks how to open the stones, but she can only give an enigmatic message in her dazed state. Wind blows, fire burns, rain falls. Only 3 minutes remain until annihilation, and David stands in front of his stone, feeling desperate. He sighs, and suddenly, his stone moves. The group gathers, and Corbin realizes they need to mimic the elements. He blows on the box, and a shining golden stone emerges. David rushes to the earth stone and pours sand into it, revealing the earth stone. Cornelius then wipes his forehead and opens the water stone with his sweat. As they gather around the last box, Corbin pulls out the last match. He lights the box and reveals the firestone. He goes back to Lilu and wakes her up. He pleads with Lilu to save them, but she says there is no point in saving this world without anything to live for. Corbin breaks down and tells her there are things worth saving, like love. He needs Lilu to save them because he needs her. In the final moments, Corbin declares his love and kisses her. Just as the fireball is about to hit Earth, 4 beams of light emerge from the stone and strike Lilu, activating the ultimate weapon. A blinding ray of light shoots out from Lilu's body, stopping the fireball in its tracks. Corbin holds her body as he feels the tremendous force around him. The strong light fades after a few seconds, and it is confirmed that the fireball has been destroyed, and humanity has been saved. Corbin carries the exhausted Lilu in his arms, and they are welcomed back to Earth as heroes. The president tries to visit them, but the scientists insist they are not ready. The movie ends with them watching inside the recovery chamber, where Corbin and Lilu are embracing passionately, experiencing a moment of love.